Our next panel is on making the most of open, online and blended learning approach. One of the panelists for this session unfortunately couldn't make it, but will listen anyways. The panelists for this session are Dr. Ramesh C. Sharma, who is the Associate Professor of Instructional Design at Ambedkar University, joined by Mr. Rajendra Kumar, who is the Director of School of Architecture at Noida International University, further joined by Dr. Shri Hari, who is the Provost of MIT World Peace University, and finally Dr. Manoj Chawla, the Chief Business Officer at Tribyte Technologies Private Limited. The moderator for this session is Mr. Parveen Kumar Sharma, who is an Assistant Professor at Maharishi Markandeshwar University.
We are at a place, or we are on a day when we realize that skills have become more important than the subjects. And being an educator myself, and with the responsibility of managing, handling, creating a collaboration of resource persons who are there on my left, who are going to create right things there for all of us. Now, when I talk to you, I am reminded of something which came to me as a confusion, as a complex, when I said that when skills are more important, subjects are not, what to do, and who is going to make the correction. Then my mentors told me it's a matter of approach or attitude, or how we select or develop the willingness to do it. Now that willingness, which is the topic as well, like we are talking about making the most of open, online and blended learning approach. Before I ask them the first question, there is something like, it's a sort of an inqilab that we are talking about, a revolution. कहते भी हैं कि पहला इनकलाब तो तब था जब हम लोगों को कश्ती को आज़ाद करवाना था, वो कश्ती को बचाने के लिए था जिसमें हम सभी ट्रेवल कर रहे थे. That came when education came, when we came out of the cave and we thought of education, institutions and all those things. उस इनकलाब में तो हम लोगों ने कश्ती बचा ली, मगर अब लगता है कि कश्ती के मुसाफिर को बचाने की बारी आई है. जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, जो आप लोग हैं, जो मैं भी हूँ, हम सब लोग, उसमें सोसाइटी भी आ जाती है, इंडस्ट्री भी आ जाती है. एक ऑब्जर्वेशन आई थी कि इंडस्ट्री में रिसेशन इसलिए नहीं आया, the recession did not happen because they people were failing, because we got people who were not future ready or the present ready, who could not handle certain things. Now the very first thing that I am putting as open question to anyone, every one of you, like why an approach change or correction is required. That's the last word that way of the topic. But why an approach change or a correction in the approach is required in rather than resources. Like we are not talking about the bring open online resources, blended learning and everything. We are talking about change the approach or develop the approach. Why that approach is like required. I can ask sir you to give a few words about it, and then other panelists can also talk.
I think since morning we have heard many people already addressing this. Dr. Raj Singh, I think, gave an extremely elaborate outline of why that change in approach is required. For the simple reason, we have been so obsessed with content rather than outcome. We have let the system deteriorate to a 3-hour exam wherein you can ask 5 to 6 questions. Each question can be answered in about half an hour or so, and each question requires, all 6 questions together require about a day and a half of study at the most. And we spend the whole semester pretending to be learning this, whereas the student has understood this is all that is required to clear your requirements, and that is the deterioration which has happened to our education system. Everybody is talking about change the way we teach. I will just say we cannot just change the way we teach, we also need to change the way we examine the learning outcomes. Even this point was made in the morning session. We will be repeating, I'm sure, the same theme over and over again for a simple reason that this deterioration has happened over the last couple of generations thanks to the importance we are giving to the marks, it has happened at the school level, the entire education process has been deciphered by vested interest, and they have, created a system where the marks can be, whatever you want the marks, they can be achieved without really saying whether the achievement of marks really means the student is ready or not. I think this is the deterioration what we are talking about. Because of this deterioration, change in approach obviously is necessary. Now we have a long history, sir. I mean, even the people who are sitting here were made by teachers who did very similar things what we are trying to do. Then what has changed? What has changed is our teachers were probably smarter. When they used the content, they knew how to bring in the outcomes. And somewhere along the line, we forgot how to bring out the outcomes. And the outcomes became negligible. The focus was on that 3-hour exam, which the students learned how best to crack. Go to any engineering institution, university, blah, blah, blah. The students will tell you, you need about 10 to 15 pages of notes, even in engineering, which you should be able to reproduce in the exam, and you can clear any course, any exam, and get a degree. I think that is where a change in approach has become necessary. I will leave it at that. I'm sure there are many other facets which my co-panelists are eager to express. So let me hand over that to you.
Thank you. Very interesting. I have a very different take on why the change is necessary. So it is inevitable, but why is it necessary? So going back into our younger days, and I think all of us are of a age group, okay, surely above 40, I think almost everybody, okay, except for the lady who never revealed the age. So there was a time, okay, when we were in college or when we were in school, and I was born and brought up in Gujarat, and I used to travel from Ahmedabad to Delhi by the train. And when we had to book a ticket for the return ticket, we had to send a letter to somebody in Delhi to book my return ticket, or I had to actually tell somebody, okay, at the counter, कि भाई पहचान है तो जरा ticket करा दो, and all those things. If you talk of this story to the young generation today, they will say, "आप लोग पागल हैं." They can't imagine, okay, that this has happened, and all of us have seen this. Okay, what Make My Trip and all these various portals are there. You just click and your tickets are there. You really don't need anything. And the world has changed significantly. And like that, you can go into so many stories of what we have seen in our college days or in our school days. Like I used to see, I started my career as a salesperson, and I used to be selling photocopying machines. And people said, photocopying machine क्या रहती है? मैंने कहा वो cyclostyle होता था. आज की तारीख में if I tell of cyclostyle to a young guy, he will say, this is not what exists. So what I'm trying to establish is that the world has changed significantly. Now what made the change? 15, 20 years ago, I don't remember the exact date, we had one instance which happened in the world which has changed everything. It is almost like the change of the Georgian calendar from before Christ to after that. So it's a BC and an AD destination. And what happened? It's actually now I would call it as a AG and a BG. BG is before Google, AG is after Google. Today's children are born after Google happened. For them, life without Google doesn't exist. And if life doesn't exist for them without Google, can we continue the methods which were before Google? No. So my simple theory is, if students don't learn the way teachers teach the students the way they learn. And that is the point which I think Professor Singh from Ansar had spoken, that we really need to transform things. to what is happening today. And I think that's the reason why a change is essential and it is inevitable. Thank you.
Sir.
That if we see the the four eras from Satyug to Kaliyug at present, there was a time when as a part of our four phases of life, initially for study, we as a student used to go to Gurukul or ashram and study there like that. Very recently, I think some time ago, I saw a very interesting cartoon in Times of India, in which it's by Ajit Nayanan, showing a image of a mother dragging the child, and the child, not going in the background of the school, and the caption below is written that, "Mama, why do I need to go to school when Google can tell me everything?" So the change of approach means it's already evident the way the things which are available as AG and BG. So it's already here. Means like in the presentation of Coursera we just saw that the time is now there. So in a way we have to adjust ourselves and bring the change, so that for the future, those things, they remain on the right track.
Right, sir. Architect Rajendra Kumar, before you answer this question, I want to add one more thing, because we are talking about that STEM more often, and there are more subjects as well. When we saw the presentations, we noted that there are less courses, except that they might be of good quality, less courses on arts and humanities, liberal arts and those things, through technology. Because they say that these are social caution things or emotional caution things, but we need the social caution, we need the emotional caution, we have got less courses. So STEM might be working or not be working. You are from architecture. Now the question is, the best of the open online blended learning is yet to happen, and as the experts said, we all know we are in transition at present, and it's inevitable as well, accepted. Now, where do you see the role of online blended learning as well as open learning in the domains like architecture, social sciences, liberal arts, languages, cultural studies as well, along with the change in approach?
Well, I would like to quote two incidents. Am I audible without mic?
No, at the back you want.
I'll come on your question in a while, but before that I would like to quote two incidents. Few months back, almost a month back, when the Ministry of HRD came up with this notification that all the PhD which have happened in last 10 years, that will again revisit, and it will be something like that. Some of the PhD can be cancelled also. We are discussing about distance learning, online courses also, but one term which is not legally there in the domain, it's called non-attending course, which is something like regular, but the student doesn't go to the college, because there is still, as per government regulation and authorities, the online courses and correspondence courses are still not considered as an equivalent to regular courses. So there are many universities here, we all are responsible, especially with the private colleges, that we encourage this thing about this non-attending courses. There are few courses like B.Ed and for that matter and PhD also. And in many courses where people want to get a degree because they want to do a government job or promotion or whatever reason. They want to get a degree, but they don't want to attend because the jobs and all those things is there. So this non-attending culture is really killing in education sector. So that brings a thread about this online courses. Since this panel is talking about online courses, Coursera gentlemen is, I think, must be around. We were discussing in just the previous panel about these online courses by universities of America or for that matter, any other universities, and you get a degree of 2-year courses also. We need to change our approach. This is not only for degree and for promotions and all those things. There are few courses, mind you, there are few courses which cannot be taught online. Right. Architecture is one of them. till 2011 IGNOU Indira Gandhi University that used to offer online courses. There are another universities in Nasik, YCMU also used to give 5-year Bachelor of Architecture degree and for that matter BTech degree also. But government stopped it. So coming back on the point that some of the courses, I mean, please, these courses are hands-on experience. I mean, you cannot teach how to lay the brick on online. I mean, so yes, online courses is a good, but it should supplement. It cannot replace the traditional education system of human touch. I mean human touch. I mean, Dr. Raj was speaking in the morning about, I'm sorry if I'm being direct, one incident about distance learning is happened in the class. That second row is a distance learning. It's a big failure of the teacher who says this. Distance learning, I mean, if a student, I mean, teacher cannot teach the second row and he thinks it's a distance learning, is a failure of our system. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, now coming back on your point about architecture education, there are few courses, architecture education, fashion design, I mean, medical for that matter. Still, I mean, in the list of the courses of Rahul when he was discussing about Coursera, the medical, I mean, doctors are still the course which you have to go in hospitals. You cannot teach online also. So some of this online courses system is good. It should be taken as a supplement. It cannot replace the traditional mode of education. That's right.
So like this limitation and this challenge is going to remain on the online learning?
It should.
It should.
It should.
So
because you cannot.
So we treat it as a check on it so that it doesn't go wrong. Fine, we accept it and we need to acknowledge this thing, because the only fear that we have as parents is that if we give the mobile phone to the child, they may distort or they may not get what they should be getting. The same is there for the teacher as well. Now, being an educator myself, I would say that the more blame goes to the teachers, the more responsibility goes to the teachers, and probably the more power is there with the teachers as well. Like teaching architecture, introducing them to music through Coursera can be a good option rather than allowing them to do the architecture only. A question for Professor Dr. Srihari, that education in India can be seen that it's in a transitional stage. We accept it. Now, and we witness an integration of the modern technologies of IoT, augmented reality, design thinking, data analysis, and so on. And again, then we have the virtual reality is also there. While India has been a world leader about values, we have been talking about values, and that's a valid point, that we need to teach them the human touch. Now, and you belong to a university which has the word peace in it, and that's a significant thing to have. Now, while such technologies are impacting our core values as well, technologies there, the core values are also challenged. Where do you see a sync or a compromise or an adaptation of something between the modern technologies and the core values that by default belongs to the history?
Yeah. I think if something is not in sync, it's only in the mind. The core values have always been there, and we have seen generations who have moved out from the core values even when the technology was not there. So it's all in the mind. What is important is when we say core values, those core values have to be experienced during the formative years. As long as the core values are being experienced, I'm sure those core values are going to stay with the students even when they grow up. We always hear examples of father telling the child to lie, on occasions, on phone or this thing saying, "Wo to papa nahi hai," kind of stuff. And that is where the core value deterioration starts. As institutions, as teachers, as administrators, we need to stick to those core values, and our students must experience those core values, and not core values being taught as a moral education course. I think as long as we do that, the core values will remain, and the core values will be important, and the core values will lead the way society behaves. So from that point of view, since you gave a reference to my university, yes, we hold the universal values very close to our heart, and we make sure that while we do talk about it, but we also make sure that that's what the students experience. I think that's where the core values being in sync with technology comes in. We teach everything that is necessary from technology, but in addition to that, we make sure the students pick up those core values through, our motto is, our students have to be physically fit, mentally alert, intellectually sharp, and the last is spiritually elevated. I think that should take care of the core values, which means no part of the so-called technology, no part of the curriculum, no part of this thing is to be left, but we can also add the universal core values as part of the learning experience of students, and that is very
right. So the first takeaway for us is that the challenge has to remain as a check, and the second, the values have to be integrated through the teachers, through the curriculum.
Integrated, and it has to be an experiential learning, and not saying that you need to be trustworthy, caring, citizenship.
The inculcation is required. Fine, sir. Now, next question to you, sir. Like, we do hear about the benefits of technology, and we do hear the benefits in such conferences, of course. But like, we see that the benefits have been happening in bits and pieces. Like, you don't see them happening on a large scale in our country particularly. How do you see that impact on a large scale should be made and can be made, and the large scale impact of open, online and blended learning? It's in bits and pieces. It has been happening, but not on the speed in which we required. A blogger came and it died, but most of our students don't know about it. So how to make the large scale impact of the open, online and blended learning in India particularly?
Pretty big question, okay, but we need to answer it in a short manner. In fact, while listening in the morning session, I think Arunachalam spoke of he spoke of learning-oriented assessment. When we really look at how and what I also just now spoke, okay, of teaching the students the way they learn rather than how I would like to teach. So I'm just differentiating between how to teach versus how to learn. So if I really start my assessments, okay, if I start my programs with assessments, I first start learning-oriented outcomes. I think that's where it really has to start. So we can leverage technology to first make an assessment. What really goes into making it scalable? Well, there are many things. Okay, first and foremost, and to leverage technology, not to have technology, to leverage technology. One is to ensure that we are able to create a platform which adapts itself to the individual learner for his style of learning, for the content of what you need to learn. Like if you go to, for example, if you go to Khan Academy, okay, you are tested, and based upon your questions, okay, the type of inputs are actually given to the learner. Similarly, okay, on any learning at the higher education, we can actually check what are the things that the people need to learn and then teach them rather than assuming that they need to know everything. Okay, quite a lot of them. In fact, in the morning also, we had I think Dr. Malik spoke of the fact that when he went to US and he taught undergrad people, they said, I don't want to learn all this, I know all this already. So I think that's the adaptation that is there. Second thing which is happening is gamification. Gamification in using technology, not by way of playing games, but really looking at it as saying, how do I perform better than my peers? Because I have to perform in the industry, I have to perform better. So how do I perform better from the other is a component which can be added to really make it adaptive. And what's also happening is it's not only about the professor giving games. It is actually students now have a possibility to challenge each other using technology and saying, I know this question, do you have that? And there are many games, okay, games not in the terms of the real game, but many things that you can start challenging others, and there is a lot of peer learning which can happen using technology. And a third and a very important part of learning is that it has to be micro learning. Micro learning, it's not a 1 hour lecture anymore. It's actually more about ensuring that the technology is configured in such a manner that it makes learning a very engaging experience. Because people sitting virtually, people sitting in class, students, they don't have attention span of more than 5 to 10 minutes. How do you ensure that every 5 minutes or 10 minutes you do some engagement activities? And I think these are some of the components amongst many others. Okay, so I won't like to go too much into that. People won't have that. So I think these are some of the components which should go into enabling to be enabled for making it large scale.
I'm glad that you killed one of the questions I would have asked you about how to make it learner-centered and what are the essentials of making the online learning learner-centered. Now, yeah, question to Dr. Ramesh Sharma. Two questions actually. One will require a single line answer probably, one will require an explanation. Can a stand-alone college or a university develop the open online learning establishment on their own, or they should wait for the government to force it on them, or for the resources that the government is having, or they should wait for some divine intervention? This is about the stand-alone universities or colleges. Another question, sir, that I want you to answer first. You have been a master trainer on online learning to teachers. There are three types of teachers. Number one, who are willing, and those who know that they want to upgrade their skills. Number two, those who are willing but do not have access to resources. And number three, those who are not willing. What to do with the category 3? And what treatment should be given by the employers or the universities, how to get them in the wagon of learning?
First, the answer to the first question is there is no need to wait. Don't wait. And means anybody, we have the resources now, we have the technology now. What we need is the intention. If you want to do it, better do it. There is no need to wait. Because there are certain challenges, certain channels, certain bureaucratic setups, etc. And if someone waits for that, maybe by that time that momentum will pass, or things may change, and that means it may go waste. The answer to the second question is that better start with those who want, because they are already motivated, and let that want virus be spread. Ultimately, those who do not want, means I remember this a quotation by a famous professor. Normally we say that the technology is going to replace teachers. He said that the technology will not replace the teachers. These teachers will be replaced by those teachers who use the technology.
Right.
So perhaps means let's start with those who want. They may have access to things, they may not have access to things, but if the will is there, then definitely it can go.
Right.
It can go.
Right. So that way the individuals who don't teach will be replaced by individuals who teach, and the teachers who don't use technology might be or will be replaced by those who use technology. So, question to you now, should we ban smartphones in the college campuses and the universities and think of online learning simultaneously?
No.
No. Should not. Second,
One line question.
it is not. Second, if you say that we should not ban it, how to create the proper positive utilization of the creative potential that the people, the youth has in the small cities where internet is free, courtesy different companies, and they don't know anything about the exposure to the positive use of internet, which the online learning and all these things are. How to send the learning which is there in HETC here to them. How to make the most of online blended learning through smartphones in the tier 2 or the tier 3 cities of this part of the world.
I would also like to comment on as one point about how to make, yes, we absolutely agree that the attention in the class is 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you have to do something to keep the attention alive. But in that case, we also need to innovate ourselves. How do we do that? Maybe every teacher has a different way of doing it. Of course, where the media, I'm talking entertainment sectors plays a very important role. Karan Johar taught us this Sali Jude Chulati. That was actually, it came in Indian society only thanks to Karan Johar. Okay. Nobody miss Kaun Banega Crorepati on any given time. I mean, so there is a potential, there is an entertainment sector also, which can teach every kind of society. So, answering your question about this, my son is 7-year-old and he knows everything. Khana nahi banana aata hai, YouTube se seekh lo. These kind of things are there. But yes, we have an advantage in NCR or in a metropolitan cities that we are exposed to a lot of things. But in a smaller cities, tier B city or C cities, yes, there is that advantage is not there. But here the role of teachers become very important. You need to do extra hard work for them to make, to your student to make it more exposed. देखो दिल्ली के बच्चे को ये भी आता है तुम थोड़ा सा और करो. Here again, when we talk about trust of the teacher, I would like to quote the example when I was studying in Italy. Our examination system used to be very different. Where I'm agreeing with the Dr. Hari's point about we need to change the system of examination. It cannot be like you have this question and this questions and all that. If you take it whether nakal maar ke karo chahe jo karo, you pass and you are 80%. That's. We used to have an 8-9 subject in one of two subjects which are there where we had to work and all those things. Other subjects like history and economics and all those subjects where we used to have personal interaction. We can sit with over the tea or coffee with the teacher and he checks your intellectuals. For that matter, you need to give that much of power to the teacher. He or she decides कि हाँ इसने 6 महीना पढ़ा है and his intellectual sense is that level. Do we have whether be it UGC or be it AICT and all, do we give that much of power to our teacher? He or she decide. Not on the, because NAC and all, अच्छा पुराने question paper दिखाओ, पुराने question paper में copy check किया है कि नहीं, क्या marks के system. No, that is something killing. We should not. Teacher, if you really trust the teacher, he or she decide कि pass करना है, fail करना, उसका intellectual level है. So we need to revamp the entire thing. That is there. A university like yours, it will bring change, of course. So that's my take on this. And yes, with the tier B or tier 2 cities, that the teacher there, they need to do extra hard work comparing with the metropolis.
The resources are there, like the have-nots and the have, the definition seems to be changed now. Now, few brief questions before we wind up the session, because we are short of time that way. For you, how can we define the EdTech quotient? We are talking EdTech quotient, like we are talking about the social, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. How that EdTech intelligence has to be defined in a few words?
I'm little, I'll sort of sidetrack that question. Why do we need to define EdTech quotient? EdTech quotient definition comes if we are in competition, we say my university has an EdTech quotient of so and so higher than yours or yours, and then it's a marketing gimmick.
Agreed.
I think more important is our learning outcomes. They will continue to remain so. EdTech quotient should ensure a higher level of learning outcomes being achieved. And that is where it's going to be important.
Agreed.
So EdTech, when we say EdTech quotient, I think our students have, as an individual, if you want to define it, our students invariably have a much higher EdTech quotient than any of the professors. Our children have a higher EdTech quotient than us. So EdTech quotient per se is, let's not bring it as something which the university has to achieve. It's already individually achieved.
But
what is important is, when we say EdTech quotient, we probably should say so many of our faculty have a high EdTech quotient, and in terms of infrastructure, of course, it is supported.
That was the hidden agenda.
That's where we come. In fact, I'm of the opinion some of our FDPs in the coming years will be done by our high school students or even younger students, because they will tell our teachers how this technology is to be used.
Agreed. Now the definition that like you rejected the right thing. It should not be defined for the students. They are conscious. Like the AICT and UGC, we are critical about them, and we should be. Reason being, like we need to fill in the papers. How many projectors are there? How many smart boards are there? So because the age of the smart boards and the projector or the OHPs is gone. Like the BYOD is.
Once again, see, these regulations came into view in an era where that was the EdTech quotient. And to ensure EdTech quotient, they brought in a regulatory framework. We need to keep changing. If teachers have to reform, so do our regulators. I think that's
right.
what
Right.
it is.
For now, the industry and the parents and the education thing. You're from the industry. You know better what should be there in the class that way. And a PhD is required to teach in the universities in India after a couple of years. They won't allow you to teach the people in the colleges and the universities if you don't have a PhD. Now the PhD or an exposure to technology, which one is going to be preferred or should be preferred by the people who are going to give them jobs or promotions that way?
I would say neither, because I think what was spoken in the morning and the keynote also, that what's important is teamwork, it's leadership, it's those value systems, it's those cooperations that are important, rather than being taught by somebody or taught using something. So I would say it's actually got to do more with the ethos which are created, how ethics are taught. I think that's something which is happening in your university very consciously. I think that is what would be important, and that's what all parents, whether it be from a tier 1 city or a tier 4, everybody is really talking of the same thing. They all appreciate it, but they also know that having technology and having the best professors are both which are required. In fact, that's where all these live classes and the distance learning using technology has really come in. So I would say it has to be both, okay, and more and above that.
Fine. So you also, like, the industry should give teachers to the academia that way?
Absolutely. I think it's not that it is necessary. It is the only way that one can really progress.
Fine, sir. So a very important question to you, but we have got less time that way. UGC wants every institution to establish the online learning and all these things. And if as a teacher I have been a part of developing MOOCs, then I get 20 points. Like there's a division in the API. Though I get more marks if I get the research papers published in the API thing, impact factor journals and those things. But most of the professors that I met, like, they are scoring sort of a 0 in the MOOCs things because they don't know how to develop the quadrants and all those things, and they are losing those points. Though it is probably wrong to make we teachers run behind the promotion thing or API, we should be promoted or motivated based on the teaching or the impact or the outcomes that way. How the Moodle thing, the STEM, the STEM thing or the online learning can do best for the teachers, and how they can do it quickly rather than delaying or wait that you say.
Okay, this is quite interesting. If we see, like, in our country we have this Swayam platform as the MOOC platform, and over a period of time since the year 2008, when Stephen Jones and George Siemens, they created their first online course, CCK 08, which was connecting based on connectivist theory. And when they were discussing, their friend Mr. Dave Bourmier, he exclaimed that, oh, it is a massive open online course. They coined that term. And since then till now, means if we see the expectations and the realities, there are certain things. We started with C MOOCs, ended up as the X MOOCs, which are basically more focused on the numbers. So we are going on the number side. We really want to make them massive, as big as many students. But then inside, even if like we were talking about UGC, if we go on the website of UGC, there is a 280-page document on various these MOOCs created on the SWAYAM platform. Sir is talking about learning outcomes. Means I read that document, and in the name of defining the learning outcomes, there are statements which even if sometimes if you miss a Kapil Sharma show and want to find something to laugh, please read that document. You will certainly find something is funny. But means what is happening and what will happen is that the free and non-credit kind of courses, they will keep continuing, but they will be offered by those universities which we treat them as the rich universities who can subsidize that offering of those courses. Otherwise it is going to be expensive, because if we see into the economics of these MOOCs, actually to me these are in a way a modified version of online courses or e-learning courses, just with to catch that massive thing. And in fact, the creators of MOOC, if we see the Daphne Kolar and Ruang and all those people, the basic structure and the dimensions of MOOCs, they have shifted from that and gone into other kind of business models for that. So the online, the e-learning courses, the blended learning or the hybrid learning, this will keep continuing. The various way MOOCs have been replaced by SPOC, small private online courses, or many other formats for them. This phenomenon of MOOC, it has just acted like a catalyst to foster the growth of this. So I think that's the way for that.
A few concluding remarks from your side.
What to conclude? I mean, I believe that such a learned people are there. I'll just conclude on a lighter note. Dal mein namak achhi lagti, namak mein dal achhi nahi lagti. So that's what. Online courses are good, but there is a certain limit. I mean, you should not go beyond that. And having the intention behind this online or foreign degree, please understand these foreign degree when they come to India and they are offering subsidized course, it's an economic model. I mean, please understand, it's not about, I mean, there might be some agenda for education and this thing, but it is actually the finance. London, there is a London of School of Economics में degree नहीं मिल पा रही, वहाँ 40 लाख का है, दिल्ली में करो 10 लाख का है. So it's an economic model. So we should be very, the online is a good, but we should be careful. I mean, it should, वही ना कि दाल में नमक ना हो, दाल में नमक होना चाहिए, नमक ना हो.
Caution is required.
Very, very much. We need to be extra careful.
Extra careful while making the most of the open online and blended learning. And thank you very much to everyone. Like, you opened new dimensions and closed a few wrong ones as well. Thank you very much. Will we? Fine. So who raises the hand first? Fine. So he raised the hand first.
Professor Amita, Director of School of Media.
Just a second.
Thanks for this wonderful discussion. Thanks for this wonderful discussion. My point is that we have focused a lot on education technology. But what about the content? In India, if this is something like that, we were willing to market the movie camera, but we couldn't, unless and until we were having the best film. Unless and until Dada Saab Phalke produced the best film, then the market of this particular technology was here in India and anywhere. Without providing the best pick, how could you market the camera? This is the problem with the education technology, as far as especially for the education technology. We have not yet witnessed the best content. Take the example of the UGC films and or even the movie. No good content is available. As far as the student is concerned, they are not interested. Some of the foreign, I'm not a wild remark, you can say that on every content, but this is the biggest problem as far as the education technology is concerned. Students are not open. They are willing for watching the films, but still they are not willing to watch the audio-visual content which we are providing.
That's a phoenix-like question. It will never die. Like we'll keep on questioning. We'll keep on developing contents as well.
Actually, I would like to mentioned, you may be knowing, after the failure or incomplete completion of MDG, then we thought of having SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, with a time frame of another 15 years. So expecting up to 2030 to achieve those 17 goals with many other inbuilt ones, more than 160 sub goals into that. But just very recently, means some time ago, there was this forum on ICT held at Qingdao in China, where they tried to lay out certain things, that how a global declaration on ICT in education can be achieved for that. And the basic pillars of SDG, like say equity, access, lifelong learning, etc. And many of the world governments, they have decided, and there are various, say Paris Declaration, Qingdao Declaration, etc., on the use of open educational resources. The Open Educational Resources Foundation, which was established in 2009 as a non-for-profit organization, they have created an open educational resources university. And many of the, means all kind of institutions from like say UK Open University, which was the first open university of the world, and including the Charles Sturt University in Australia, means a good network of universities, they have joined that. So about the content, I agree with you that, but there is no need to create it. Already a lot of material is available with us, and these were developed as an alternative content to the copyright protected material, and with an open license available to that. So what is around us, just find it, and if it is with open license, fine tune it, convert it to our needs, and then can be used. And the highly successful examples are Open Textbook Project of Hong Kong. Can go to their website and take the textbooks. Athabasca University Press, they have released. In fact, it is a very unique example in this sense. When the university decided to give their material, the textbooks, as the open textbooks, there was resentment among the faculty. They said that if you are giving away your material, and particularly the finance officer, that their revenues will be affected. And they were very pleasantly surprised to find that when they gave away their material as open textbook, the sale of their printed material increased, because that established that the people thought that if this material is good, their other material will also be good. So the question of credibility and the quality, it supported them. So we have already have the channels with us, the mechanisms with us. So, and the movement of OER, it's really serving the cause of education in terms of democratization, increasing the access, maintaining the quality, and serving the lifelong learners.
Right, sir. So the last word, lifelong learners, concludes the discussion on the stage. The same discussion you can have with all the experts whenever you see them around after the session. Thank you very much, everyone. We are concluding the session.